Welcome our special guest, your host and fearless leader of Viva Las Vegas Rockabilly Weekend, Mr. Tom Ingram.
Hello, it's good to be here.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you so much for joining me today, man. I really appreciate it. Sunday morning on Super Bowl Sunday, and you took the time to come out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I won't be watching the Super Bowl anyway.
I won't either. I just thought I'd throw it out there, you know? I mean, there's somebody out there watching it.
Football's supposed to be played with a round ball.
And your feet, right?
Yes.
Right. No hands.
No.
Are you a big soccer guy?
Yes.
Football. I'm not going to say soccer because it's football.
Yeah, real football.
Right.
Yeah, I've been a lifelong Chelsea fan, and here I have season tickets to the LA Galaxy.
Oh, cool. And you're super, that's nice for you. You're super close, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Get there in 10 or 15 minutes.
Your backyard.
It's perfect.
So, Tom, are you getting excited? You getting pretty pumped up for April?
Yeah, this is the time when I start to get nervous. You know, I'm looking at things thinking, will they get done in time? And, yeah, especially when we're waiting on other people. Yeah. That's always the big one.
What's the getting close? I mean, I'm talking days, weeks away. What's the biggest thing? What's always the biggest concern leading up to, getting that close? Or is it already dialed in tight by then?
The biggest concern is not any one thing. It's getting information that the hotel needs, such as hotel rooms for entertainers and staff. That's always a big one. Making sure we've got everything from all the vendors that they need to get to us. Those are probably the biggest ones.
But, I mean, by the time you get to that point, you're pretty close. You just got to fine-tune it.
Yeah. And then, of course, all the permits and licenses that are needed by the city, the county, the state, and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, you would think after this many years they would have it pretty dialed in for you and streamlined.
Yeah, we worked out the other day that between myself and the hotel, there's 22 different permits.
Wow. That seems like quite a few permits you need for that.
Yes, a lot.
This is, so for those of you out there that are listening and may not know who Tom Ingram is, he runs a show or started a show or contributes to a show, hosts a show called Viva Las Vegas Rockabilly Weekend. I'd like to mention that it was just voted Best Music Festival in Las Vegas for 2019.
Yeah, that's correct. And for me, it was a big deal because we beat out Life is Beautiful and EDC.
Crazy. EDC is, humongous.
Yeah, we don't know how we did it because we didn't even know we'd been nominated.
Do you know how you got nominated, or do you know, is it just that publication or Las Vegas? How did that work? Do you know?
I think it was someone who works for the publication nominated us.
It's amazing.
And they just put us in the voting and we won.
Man, I read that and I was just like, I've been going to Viva for quite a few years now and I really enjoy it. And it's just incredible that it's become so popular. It's incredible.
It's not something that we ever expected. I just really did the event because it's an event that I wanted to go to.
Right.
So, yeah, if there's not an event that's what I want, then I'll organise it myself so I can go to it. And that was a general idea of starting it. And it just grew and grew, and it's not something we ever expected. And in a way, it caught us off guard.
But you're from London, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And you had been already putting together festivals, and you've been doing music for quite a few years before this, right?
Oh yeah, I was DJing since I was about 16 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then I used to organise a weekender in the UK, and we peaked out at about 3,000 people. And
that is just a festival that goes on for the course of a weekend?
Yeah, same sort of thing. It was held it's called a holiday camp, which is, if you imagine, a central location for entertainment and then chalets all around the outskirts. And that's what a holiday camp is.
Oh, okay.
They were built in the 50s for low-income families to be able to go away on vacation. They'd all get on a bus in London, get bussed up to this holiday camp, have the vacation and go back. So the quality of the accommodation wasn't the best.
But I mean, what, they have some kind of an entertainment or a band? I mean, like a live entertainment, or they'd have games or functions or.
Well, they have a main ballroom and then a smaller ballroom in the centre, and that's where we'd put on all the entertainment, all the sort of rock and roll and rockabilly bands and DJs and the music going all night.
And what year was this?
I started that in 1988, I think it was.
Oh wow, that's very cool. And then how did you make? What was Viva the first event that you put on in the United States?
Not the very first event. It was the first weekender. When I decided to move to California, I'd already arranged that I was going to be DJing weekly at the Derby in Los Feliz.
In Los Feliz,
yes. And then I'd also arranged something else in Long Beach, and those were the first ones I really organised. But then the intention was for me to organise a weekender, and I was looking at doing it in Southern California, but nothing seemed to be right. There were venues, but licensing laws especially, they were the problem. And then we just a group of us sitting around a table one day, just chatting, and someone was just talking about Vegas and how they would drink all night. And I sat there thinking about it for a while, and then all of a sudden I just shouted out Vegas.
The light bulb went off.
Yeah, everyone looked at me and said, "What?" I said, "Vegas." And they said, "What?" I said, "That's where I've got to do the weekender." And so...
Genius.
Yeah, we set off to Vegas, started going around hotels, and I found places, some that were suitable who didn't want to know, others that wanted to know but they weren't suitable, and it just wasn't coming together. And then I was talking to, do you know that band from the 50s, the Treniers?
I do not.
They were in more films in the 50s than any other band, and that's because of their manager was a guy called Seymour Heller, who, I think it's the Producers Guild Awards, has the Seymour Heller Award every year.
They do?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's him.
Oh,
and he was
wow.
He was their manager. He's also Liberace's manager.
Liberace's manager,
yeah.
What?
But I knew him as the Treniers manager.
Okay.
And we were just chatting, and I said, yeah, I'm trying to do a weekender in Vegas like I did in England, but I haven't found anywhere. And he said, oh, a friend of mine, he's in charge of entertainment at the Gold Coast.
The Gold Coast. That's where it started. That's where it all started.
So the next week I was driving to Vegas, had a meeting, and that was it. We got the Gold Coast.
So why did it, when did it change from the Gold Coast to the Orleans?
It changed about the 11th year.
Okay.
And that was purely because to say we were filling up the Gold Coast was an understatement. It was just so packed with people, and we had to do something. And I don't know if you know that the Orleans and the Gold Coast are owned by the same people.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we had the option of going to the Orleans or going to another hotel. And at that point, we had already had more people staying in the Orleans for the event at the Gold Coast than were staying in the Gold Coast.
Wow.
So, and we just did a survey, and everyone was saying, yeah, we'll do it in New Orleans. So we just switched it to the Orleans. And by doing that, we didn't burn any bridges because being the same company, everyone was very happy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you kept it in the family. And I mean, just so you know, that was the 11th, and you're now going into the 23rd.
Yes, 23rd, yes.
Amazing, man. Congratulations, Tom. Really, really congratulations. So, what's your favorite event or activity currently that's current at Viva? Do you have a favorite?
I don't. There's so much there I like.
So much.
Yeah, and it could vary each year. Obviously, for me, the music comes first.
Okay.
And so there's always, certain acts that I want to see each year. And generally it tends to be, it's not one type of act. I mean, I always like seeing the original acts because you don't know if you're going to see them again.
And who are some of the originals that you're speaking of?
Well, obviously Ruth Brown.
Yeah.
She was a big one for us. The Treniers, as I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And then more recently, Chuck Berry, obviously.
Of course.
Little Richard.
Of course, Chuck Berry.
Jerry Lee Lewis, right. Dion. The
list goes on and on.
Yeah. And I became personal friends with some, like Herb Cox of the Cleftones. he became a personal friend. It was very sad when he died recently. But
yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, he used to help me book a lot of the old black rhythm and blues and doo-wop acts.
Oh, okay. So were you able to, continue that? Are you gonna be able to, hope now that he's passed? Do you have enough relationships built with some of these people that they shouldn't be affected?
I have, but there's hardly anyone left now.
Yeah.
Because they're just that a little bit older, and it's the ones that can come out. So like last year, we had the Coasters, but just one original member who was obviously, he had to sit down to perform.
Right.
And that's what we're finding now.
Right.
And I'm very careful that when I book an act, a band especially, that we get the right band. I saw that recently the Platters are being advertised as performing in Vegas. None of them are still alive. There's not a single original member of the Platters.
Right. They've all been replaced.
Yeah. It's the person who owns the rights to the name.
Right.
And there's so much of that going on now, and I just think it's so wrong. Another band that, this is now going a bit more into the 60s, the Sonics. When we had the Sonics at the car show, we had the Sonics, and I think the only one who wasn't the original member was the drummer. Now, you've got just the sax player,
right,
who's continuing the name, and you're not getting the Sonics.
At all. It's not the same. It's not. Do you feel like maybe that should be, there should be something against that, or there should be something in the rights, or when they're writing up the contracts for music, that it's, if the original band is no longer around, it should, the name should be retired? Or
if you take someone like the Cleftones, Herb Cox was the lead singer, and he continued the band the Cleftones and kept as many originals as he could for as long as he could, but in the end he didn't have any of the original other singers, but he was the lead singer, so it didn't really matter.
That's a little different.
Yes.
Right.
And so in his situation, as long as it was Herb Cox, it was the Cleftones.
Totally.
And there's a few other bands that were like that. The Jive 5 with Eugene Pitt. It had to be him. And once he died, that's it, the Jive 5 are finished. And there should be some sort of laws against it. And I think just because someone has the rights to the name doesn't mean that they should be able to go out as that band. When I first moved to California, I actually arranged for the original Comets to play at the House of Blues. And it was the musicians who played on the song Rock Around the Clock. Now, obviously we didn't have Bill Haley, he was already dead.
Right. But
we didn't advertise it as Bill Haley and the Comets. We advertised as the original Comets.
Yeah.
Featuring, I think it was Jack O'Buddin sang.
Oh, okay.
So I truly believe in being honest about what you're presenting.
Right.
And I actually got a phone call from the people who had the rights to the name the Comets, threatening legal action and saying they were going to sue. We had no rights to book these people and stuff like that. And I just turned around and said, well, in your Comets, how many of them played on the song Rock Around the Clock? And they said, that's irrelevant. I said, no, it's not. We've got all the musicians who played on the song Rock Around the Clock. So you want to try and go to court to fight over us using the name the Comets? Go ahead.
That's incredible that those guys didn't own the rights to their own.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah. It's just bad, poor management, or, poor decision making at the time.
Yeah.
It's how incredible is it that you had the original guys and they had no right to that name?
I keep getting communicated to by a guy, I won't say his name, who says that he is one of the original Comets and that we should book him. And when I looked him up, because I didn't recognise the name, he did a couple of performances as a musician in the Comets in the 70s. And that's it. Yeah. And he makes out he's one of the Comets. I've even got a photograph. He doesn't know how to use Photoshop. He still uses a pair of scissors, and he's actually cut out his face and stuck it over the face of one of the other Comets. Yeah. And taken photocopies of it.
I love that. You know what though? Somewhere somebody's gonna book him as somewhere. It's unfortunate. Is there any event or activity that is no longer that's discontinued? I guess that you miss or that you think will end up making its. I mean, I know music is a main focus, and burlesque has become very popular, and the car show has always been a favorite. But I mean, has there been any activities that you kind of canceled out or stopped doing?
Nothing that was successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've tried a few things,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to try things to see how they go.
Yeah.
But nothing that I really want to bring back. We rebranded the Pinup Contest recently, and so this year it's called Queen of the Car Show.
Okay. And is there going to be anything different?
Yeah, the difference is more going to be how they dress and the sort of questions they get on the stage.
Oh, okay.
And we're not necessarily looking for someone who knows how to rebuild an engine. It's more about personality, but also being into the car scene, because it's a pin-up contest at a car show. So I felt that we were getting a little bit too far away from what it was. Yeah, the ball gowns on a hot Saturday afternoon outside don't really make sense.
Right.
And so we decided to rebrand it and make it more about being at the car show.
I think that's a great idea.
We might even, what we've talked about is having a car engine or some car parts on the stage, and the host points to one of them and says, "What is it and what does it do?"
I love that.
Right. Now, and here's the thing. They don't have to know anything about cars. They could make something up.
Yeah.
Because it's not about what they know about the car so much.
Right.
It's about, having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Within the scene.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I guess there's a couple of different ways to go about, running a beauty